Hello guys, and welcome back to another Tweaker Man video. We're going to be showing you how to replace and make a high-end silver plated ohno continuous cast copper headphone cable for, so these are a set of Sennheiser HD 595. They're quite old now. They've been knocking around in my stuff for about 15, 16, 17 years. Can't remember, somewhere around that time. One time my son was using them and he needed a really long cable, so I fitted a really long cable to it for him, which is a Van Dam musical instrument cable. It works really well, but we're going to take this to the next level now by using this, which is 0.5 silver plated ohno continuous cast copper, which is far better quality. So let's get into the video and I'll show you all the stuff you need to build this cable. So these are all the tools and the materials we need to produce this headphone cable. So we need a soldering iron, a heat gun for the heat shrink. You need you can either use some wire strippers, but I tend to use some old scissors and a Stanley knife, or just a craft knife. I'm using deoxit to spray all the connections just to improve them. Always tend to keep a roll of ptfe tape around just in case I need any. We need some heat shrink, black heat shrink, some silver solder. I'm using WBT. You can use any make you like. I find a WBT seems to perform the best. And the main product, which is the 0.5mm silver plated ohno continuous cast copper. Now this is a stranded cable, it's not a solid core, it's stranded for this. And we're going to reuse the black nylon braid here, because there's about 5 meters on there and there's plenty. So the length of the cable we're going to be producing today is going to be just over 3 meters. So let's get into it. What we're going to do is take the headphones apart first. So what we're going to be doing is taking off the ear cup. There we go. It just pops off. We've only got to take off one side. Now you may say, why don't I replace the wire through from that side to this side, from the left to the right, because the cable goes in on the left. I'm not going to bother doing that. You can do, it's quite fiddly. You'd have to take the whole thing apart just to run a wire onto one side. This will improve the sound, even if it doesn't, you don't replace that cable or that wire that runs through the headband and through to the other side. So we're going to have to take this off now. So this part should just clip out. I've done this several times now. There we go. See the dust build up that goes inside there? You can see it there. The dust build up there. So we've got that undone. Now we need to use a very small screwdriver, a jeweler's one, to get into those screws that are holding that part of the ear cup on. So we'll do that now. So we've got our little jeweler's screwdriver here. We're just going to pop it into the hole there. You may not be able to see that hole that well there. Let's just see if we can get you in a bit closer. There we go, that hole there. There's 3 holes here. They've just got tiny little Phillips screws in there. Don't want to lose those. So okay. Right, hopefully that'll just pull off now. This does come out. So there we go. So we've taken out the speaker there. Let's just pop these other screws out of here because we don't want to lose those. So there's one screw 2 screws, 3 screws. So we're going to put those to one side, the screws there, so we don't lose them. We'll leave our ear cup, we'll push the screws inside there, take that to one side so we can so we don't lose any of those stuff. Now this gets a bit fiddly at this point, so you don't really want to break anything here. If you can see inside there, so there's a little clip here which I can remember. I rewired these before for my son a couple of years ago now. Now this piece here is a piece of metal that slots in there, that holds in the cable nice and snug. So we're going to take that off and put that over there as well. And then, if I'm not mistaken, there's a bit of foam there that comes out as well. We'll put that over there. And then this is a little tiny circuit board in there, just there. And then there's a plug here. It's just a tiny little plug. So we're just going to pop this plug out there, and it should come out. Tiny little screwdriver. It has some pins on it. There we go. Look at that. If I'm not mistaken. So there's the little pins. Just pull that up like that, and now we should just be able to pull that out. There we go. Look at that. Nice and easy. Now be very careful with this piece. You don't want to mess up the wire there. So we're going to just put that to one side for a minute. So we don't actually need that now. All we need is this piece. Now this has got some tiny little wires on here. They're tiny little pins, I should say. Can you see that there? There we go. Tiny little pins. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to chop this off there with a pair of scissors. You can use anything, wire cutters, scissors, whatever. And we need to work out what goes to what. Now we won't know until we get down to the bottom of the cable. Can't remember what's the left channel, what's the right channel on this now. So you'll have to bear with me. I'll work it out by the other end, because we'll just pop off the other end and we'll show you that. So let's do that now. So this is the other end. This is a very nice Neutrik plug on here. So we're just going to take a blade there, just run it down there so we can take the old heat shrink off. There we go. Just run that back like that. Pull that back. That's it. If it goes up there, it doesn't matter. And then we'll just unscrew the plug here. There we go. So that's the body of that. I mean, I could reuse this plug, but I've got a new one, so I just thought I'd put the new one on. Get the plastic bit off there. So there we go. So we're using, on this one, particular one, we're using a braid for the earth, and then we've got our left and right channel. So the blue indicates the left, and the white indicates the right, one or the other. So as long as we keep it the same as it goes up, that's fine. So what we're going to do is going to get a piece of paper and mark down what's what on the plug. So I've done a diagram of the plug itself. So this is the headphone jack plug, 6.3 mil. The tip of it is the left, which on this particular cable we're using the blue wire for the left. So I've kept it the same for now, but obviously the wire we're using is going to be different. But and then the right channel is the ring there, the centre there, and then the bottom part of the plug is the ground. Now when we come to the back of the plug, the outer connector is the blue, which is the left hand channel, and then the centre one is the white, which is the right hand channel, and then the sleeve at the back is the ground. Now this is a little diagram this side here of looking down at the back of the connector that goes into the 4-pin connector that goes into the headphones themselves. Okay, so so the bottom left is the blue, which is the left hand channel. The top right is the white, which is the left hand channel. The bottom blue is the right hand channel, sorry. And then you've got a ground either side of it. So that should be quite self-explanatory. So we're going to crack on and start showing you how to build this now. So what I've done is I've cut 4 lengths of the silver plated ohno continuous cast copper. I've cut it into 3.3 metre lengths. Okay, 2 of them are going to be grounds and 2 of them are going to be our left and our right channel. So what I've done is I've put some bits of masking tape on them just to indicate them, both ends, because you don't want to get mixed up. You can use a multimeter at the end if you don't want to do that. You can test them with a multimeter, but it's just simple just to do that, and then you can take them off after you've soldered them on. So because this is quite a long cable, we're going to be doing a 4-way plait on this, and I'll show you how to do that now. But first of all, what we've got to do is enable to, so the wire doesn't get it's difficult, the wire gets all tangled, and we don't really want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to get each conductor first, and then we're going to wind it round so far. Give yourself a little bit there, and then what we can do is we can release it as we go along to save it being getting in a mess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind these 4 wires up, and I'll be back once I've raveled them up. Right, okay, so we've wound all our 4 conductors up. So what we're going to be doing is holding them up side to side, the left and the right. Okay, dead in line. You can, you might need to cut them a little bit afterwards, but so there's the one ground, and there's the second ground. So there's 4 wires all together. Okay, now we want to get them in like a square, so that they're in each other. Now this wire is Teflon insulated, so it has a very low dielectric constant. So now we're just going to take a piece of insulation tape, and we want to wrap it round there just to hold it in place. There we go. Right, if you can hear some noise, that's my neighbour doing some gardening in the other garden next door to me. Right, okay, so now you need to hold this on a surface. Now this is going to be quite time consuming, this piece, but bear with it. It really works well. So you've got one conductor one side, one conductor the other. So now what you want to do is you want to swap them over like so. Okay, now what this will do is it'll effectively reduce the length of the cable. That's why I made it bigger than what I need, because I'm hoping to end up with about 2.5 meters. So then you go over with that one, then you go over with this one, and then you just keep repeating it. You see, I'll do a bit of it, then I'll show you it, and then we'll crack on with it and come back after. Now, why are we doing this? Because it helps to reduce or eliminate radio frequency information, electrostatic build-up. There we go. Electrostatic interference, I should say. Keep going over. Okay, you shouldn't get confused with this. It's very easy to do it, but this is going to take a while. It's probably going to take me over half an hour to make this wire very long, because this is quite a tedious and laborious job, this part of it. Again, it's just like wrapping ptfe tape around. If you've ever seen those things they used to call Scoobies back in the day, kids used to do them. This is going to look like one of those after. So it's like a woven cable effectively. So look, now there you go. You see that? That's a nice effect, that is, and that's going to be really good. So I'm going to carry on with that, and I'll be back in about, well, you'll see me in a couple of seconds, but it's going to take me maybe 45 minutes. So see you in a minute. Right, okay, so we're coming to the end of this. It's just taken actually about an hour and a half to weave this, so I underestimated the time. I've done small runs of this, meters, 2 meters, but this is quite a bit longer. So anyway, So we're going to leave it there now, and we're just going to measure how long that is now. It's worked out quite long. I'm hoping it's around about, it's probably going to be about 2.3 of a metre. Nope, as I suspect it's actually longer, it's 2.7, which is even better. So that's wore my arm out for today, so I'm going to leave this for now until tomorrow, and then we're going to come back, and then I'm going to finish the video off tomorrow morning early, which is a Sunday, and then we're going to get this all terminated and show you how to finish off the rest of it. Right, I'm back early Sunday morning again, very tired. But we shall crack on. So this is our cable. It's a 4-way plait. It's all been plaited lovely. So we've got one end there, okay, the other end here. So now what we're going to do is this end has got no tape on it for now, so we want to tape it off just so the weave doesn't come undone while we threadle it through the through our nylon braid. Now you could leave it like that if you wanted to. The jacket is the PVC, the Teflon insulation is very tough, but just to give it that professional feel, you really need to, and it helps it looks better on the thingy. It's not about looks, but you know, these things, you still need to be living with these things in your life. That's the problem. So just tape that off for a minute, and we'll remove that tape at the end when we put the heat shrink on and everything else. There we go. Look, just tape that off like that. So I need to find the oh, here it is. Look, it's in front of me. That's what you get for getting up early. There you go. That's our nylon braid. Okay, I've chopped it to around the size that we need. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to thread all this through the braid. If you've watched my videos before, you'll know exactly how to do this anyway. But for the newbies on the channel, I shall show you. I mean, obviously, if you're one of those bell wire brigades, the cable deniers, then you shouldn't even be watching this video. So that end there needs to be need to get the soldering iron and just to melt the end of it a bit to stop it from fraying. Put that down there. Just bring it in with your fingers a bit just to make it. There we go. Right, okay. So now, actually, what I'm going to do again, I'm going to wrap another piece of insulation tape just around the end of that, because it will make it easier to threadle it through the braid. Otherwise it gets all caught up in the braid. We'll just pop a little bit of insulation tape around there for now, just to just so if it sticks to that. This Teflon stuff's very strange, this Teflon insulation on this wire. It doesn't take a permanent marker, so people were wondering why I've stuck this masking tape on it. But there's a reason, there's a method in my madness. It just doesn't take to it. So there we go, we'll get that through there. That's it. I have to thread all this stuff through as well. Right. There we go. So I'm just going to thread all this through. It's pretty straightforward, and then I'll be back in a second once it's all the way through. Then we can crack on with terminating this this cable off. Right. So I finished putting the braid over the nylon braid over the cable now. So what I need to do is just cut that back a bit. So we just use the back of the soldering iron there, the back part of it. You don't want to use the front bit, but just the back part. Where's the, so that's probably it, just about there. There we change that all around like that. There we go. So that's popped off now. So we've still got our 2 bits of masking tape on there, which is very important. You need to keep those and right to the end, because if you lose those, then you won't know what conductors what. You'd have to use a multimeter to check them. So that's that. So the next step is to use some heat shrink on them. So we want to just put a piece of heat shrink over both ends. Just measure it out so big. It's no set size. Just do what you feel, really. So I'll just pop that one off, chop that there. I'll do 2 pieces the same length. One's going to go inside the headphone, so we'll make one a bit longer. Right, okay. So, right, okay. So this is our heat shrink here. It tends to come flat, this one. Some of them around, they come on a tube, or this one's flat, so you just need to open it up. It's easy to open a bit. Get it to get the end up. Let's get that straight. It's because that one's been on the roll bent. Then on this one, I'll show you with this one first. I've done that one already. There we go. So what we're going to do is just pop this over the end here. Slide that over. So this is the longer end, so we'll be using this end as the headphone end. Pop that up to about there. Okay, take out a heat gun and shrink that down around it. Remember just to tickle it round the end there, because the nylon braid can melt very easy. There we go. So that's one end. Put that over there, get that out of the way. Now the other end here. So this piece of masking tape is attempting to escape. So we need to push that back on there. So we want to take our nylon braid up the end there again. We mustn't let that masking tape escape. Right, so that's that. So now we need to thread all that through here. That's better. Take that up there. Bring it back on ourselves a bit. Take it right up there. And we need to repeat the process now. There we go. Right, so now we're ready to start terminating this cable, which is going to be very fun. So we've this is our headphone plug, a jack plug. So what we're going to do is we're just going to fit it into our vise here and tighten the vise up, because this is a perfect way to hold the plug in place while we solder it. So now we're going to come to our cable now, and we've worked out now that one of these pieces of heat shrink is slightly longer than the other. Okay, so this is going to be the headphone end, and this is going to be the jack plug end. Okay, so now what we need to do is we're going to need to trim these wires back a bit. So we're going to have to take those back a bit. just to they'll be way too long. We don't want too much cable in there. But what we're going to do before we do that, we want to take the end of this jack plug and want to thread all the wires through. Again, we've got to make sure we don't lose these pieces of masking tape on the end of there. We need to thread all that through there, see if we can get it through. On the last one I had to oh no, there you go, look, it's gone through. Oh yeah, perfect, look at that. So they're through. So the next step is to cut these two ground wires down. Right, okay, so we're going to cut the two ground wires down and then solder those on first. So we're going to offer the cable up to the plug now. So we need to just cut those back so long. You could just feel your way with this. It's pretty easy. So we'll chop them off about there, and we're going to have to strip those two wires back and solder those two together first. So here's the two ground wires there. Take a pair of wire cutters, and we're just going to take off the jacket there, and then we'll just twist them together. Right, it's not the best whites, the strippers here, there you go, that's both off. Right, so we just need to now twist these two together, just the two wires at the end there, and then we're just gonna solder those up. So just remove this plug again from there just for a minute, so we can then fit our wire into there, just while we solder those up together. Just makes it easier for when you're soldering it to the plug itself. Right, that's that. Now the other two wires now are going to be slightly longer, because they need to go into the plug there, into the so this one here will solder onto there, and then we need to have two that go, one to the center pin and one to the outer. So we need to work out what one's what. So this is where our diagram comes in handy again. So the right channel is the center pin on this plug. So you've got your ground at the back there, then you've got the center piece, which is the right hand channel, and then the outer connector there, the outer pin is the left hand channel. So what we're going to do is just to cut this down slightly now, because we need to strip the wire off of that. I'll just pop that down, cut that down a bit like that. Now we just want to run a there we go. That's off of there. Twist that one round. Now the same with the left hand channel now. Okay, we can actually remove that one now, because we know that's the left hand channel on this one, because that's getting in the way a bit. So get that down to there, check that out. That needs to be, we'll make that one slightly longer than the now this wire, it tends to move about a lot because of it's like a snake. So we'll just let it flow down the back there for now. So we need to do the same here. Just pull all those ones back so you can see what you're doing there. I'm not cutting through to the wire when I'm doing that. I'm just scoring the there we go, that's come off as well. Lovely. Right, so now all we need to do now is we need to just solder up these end bits again. So I'll weight that down there. That's it. Now we're just going to solder up, put some solder on those bare wires there. It just helps to it's easier when it comes to soldering it onto the plug itself. There we go. Right, so what I tend to do with the plug as well is I tend to just flow a bit of solder onto the plug first. It just makes it easier. So we'll just come around there. That's it. See that? It's just gone onto the plug itself there. Just a tiny bit of solder. There we go. Same with the centre pin. It needs to be a little bit just in there. Just dripped a little bit in there. And with this one here as well. A little bit in there. Right. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start soldering it on. Now this can get quite difficult when you're doing it on your own, so you sort of need to bring the cable round and give it something heavy on there just to weight it down a bit. That'll be fine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to solder on our the ground wire first there. So just load the soldering iron up again now with some solder. There we go. Push that down into there. Get that out of the way. There we go, that's gone on lovely. Give it a bit of set. That's it. So then next is going to be our centre wire, which is the right channel. We can remove that now. Poke that down into there like that. That's perfect. Now I'm going to just solder that in place. Bit more in there. That's perfect. That's beautiful. Hope you can see that well. Yeah. And now we'll just popped out. Sorry. Let's just take that back down again. That's popped out. That's better. There we go. I have to hold that in place while that sets. That's it. Lovely, jubbly. So now you can see that we've soldered those. We soldered the ground on, and the right hand channel, and now we've got to solder on our left hand channel. So we're just going to bring the wire round. I don't know if you can see that very well on here. I'm doing this on my own again this morning. to there. Open up the vise. I'm going to have to do it that way round for now with this one. Now we're just going to dribble some solder down the edge of that. Now that should have done the trick, hopefully. Yeah, look at that, perfect. Right, so now this is just going to come up now, and we're going to be putting our plug housing on the back of this now. So if I can find that, wherever I put that. Oh, here it is. Now there is a plastic part of this plug that fits over here as well. Let me hone out a bit more now. There we go. So this pops over here. Open that up like so. Pop that over. There we go. That's in there perfect. Now double check all that those all in place perfectly. Right, so then what this does is it grips it. It just helps to there we go, keep the cable in place. I'm going to pull that back now. There we go, that's better. Then I could twist that round there, twist it up. You've got to watch you don't cross thread these things when you do this, because there we go, that's better. When you're doing this on camera, it's so much more difficult than when you do this actually on your own. When you're doing it normally, it's so easy to do this, but when you're doing it on camera, it tends to be a bit more difficult. So I'm going to do that up in a second. Right, so that's nice and tight now on that end. So we've got our jack plug on this end. So now we've got to turn our attention to this end now, which is the end that goes into the headphone itself. So what we're going to do is we want to cut all these dead straight there. So I'll just take our pair of scissors and just chop them off. And now we need to strip all the wires back on there. So you saw me do that on the other end. So I'm just going to do these off camera quick because it just speeds up the video, and then I'll be back in a second. So now we've stripped all the wires off of the other end. Now these are going to be soldered to those very fine little pins that are inside the headphone, which I'll show you in a second again. I've already stripped those off, and because the problem is they're very fiddly and small. So I took the old cable off of them, and I've dismantled them all. So I've got them just in the raw form, so it's easy just to solder those back on now, because that's what you'd be doing if you're making a cable like this. Now, if you're doing, I mean, this is a set of Sennheisers. This process, the way I've made the whole cable up here, is the same for any fixed cable. So inside your headphone end, doesn't have to be Sennheiser, it can be anything. The chances are you'll have a little circuit board you may have to solder them to, or they may have some plugs like those. There we go, one more there. So you'll just have to undo the headphone end and see what's in there. There we go. Right, so we've got that to there. Now, what I want to do is put another piece of heat shrink down at the end of here that goes over there, just to hold all that in nice and neatly. So I've run out of black, so I need to do a big order on these. I keep saying it, I haven't got round to it yet. So we just want to thread all that through there now, over the end. We can just take that up the end. We can shrink that down later. So now we've got this now. So now we've got these tiny little pins that we've got to, we need to solder. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that now. So the way I'm going to solder these little pins on. Now these are the pins here. You probably can't see them very well. I'm going to bring one up close. They're very tiny, easily to lose when you're doing a job like this. It's very small in the finger. So what I've done is I've attached some blue tack to the top of the bench here. I'm just going to push it into the blue tack just to hold it in place while I solder it, because it's going to be moving about a lot. Push the blue tack around it just so it doesn't, so you don't move it. And each one is just going to be soldered on to the blue tack. So at this end, I don't have to glue the two, solder the two grounds together, because they've got their individual pins. So all I'm going to be doing is loading up the soldering iron a bit and just soldering, put a bit more solder on the end of there. There we go. Flow it on there, lovely. Right, okay, then we're going to load up the soldering iron itself now. And now we're just going to solder away. Right, let's just double check that's going on all right. Yeah, that's fine. Soldered to there nicely. Right, so the next one. Now there's a little plastic cage bit these fit into. Very small again. So we'll just do the same. So I'm going to solder all the rest of these on. I'll be back in a second. Right, okay. I've soldered all the little pins on there. Oh, can you see it there? Sorry, I'm doing this on my own again this morning, so let's lift that up a bit. Right, okay, so now we need to do is just to put a piece of some ptfe tape around each one. So what I'll do is I'll just cut a couple of bits off. Now you can use a bit of heat shrink if you wanted some thin heat shrink around it, but I like to use the ptfe because the heat shrink's PVC again, which is going to be touching the conductor, which we don't really want. We want to keep it all Teflon. That's what ptfe is Teflon. Okay, so I'll do all these and I'll be back in a second. Now, wrapped them all in ptfe tape. Now we're going to look at this little diagram here, because we've got a tiny little plastic thing that all these pins fit into. So we need to make sure all these pins are pointing the same direction. So we've got our left and right conductors there, and right, so you've got to make sure all the pins are all turned around the right way. And now we need to get our little tiny, this is very small, this little piece, there you go, look, it's on there. This is very, very small. So the blue, right, which is the old cable, which is the left hand channel, needs to go to the bottom left on here. So what we'll do, we'll just pull that over there. Okay, now this is very small, this thing, so you probably ain't going to be able to see me do this on camera. And I mustn't lose this, because if this goes, that'll be it. Even I can't see to get that in there. Right, This is going to be difficult, but we'll get there. You could use a magnifying glass for this, or if you've got some of those glasses, they've started doing magnifying glasses. There we go. Push that one through there. So that's our left-hand channel. Now next to that left-hand channel is going to be a ground wire. Okay, so we're going to get our ground wire there and poke that through that side. Oh, let's move these about a bit. As I say, this is quite tricky, this piece. I mean, all cable making's tricky anyway, but it's just about a matter of persevering with it. Oh, come on, you bugger. There we go. We've got that one pushed in place. Push it right in there. There we go. So don't worry about if they're a bit slightly bent. We can sort them out right at the end there. So now our white, which is the right hand channel, is at the top here on the right hand side. Now this only applies to these Sennheisers. There's a lot of other headphones, like I say, that might have a circuit board inside, a tiny little board that you might want to you'll need to solder them to. So that's going to be, this is very tricky. Right, okay. Right, so while I was trying to get these pins into the into that little plastic thing, because I've reused this plastic thing for the second time, it's gone and broken. So it's no good, which is fine, because we can still put them in the headphone, and what we'll do, I'll hold it in there, and I'll show you the headphone here. There, you may not be able to see it. Just inside there is where we need to put the wires. So it's going to be difficult for you to see this on camera. So I'm just going to pop them in anyway, and I'll show you it once I've done that. So after a bit of a struggle, I've got all the wires in there. It's quite difficult. This is very small work you're working with here. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to put out the back part of the headphone in now. Put it back into place. I need to cut down those these bits of masking tape there. Just chop them off. One there, one there. That's it. So now we should just be able to fit our speaker back on there. Put it back inside there nice and neatly. So we're going to just screw this back on now with the screws, and I'll be back in a second. So we've put the back of the headphone together again now. So we're just going to flip on these the cups again. This will go in there. Always these are always difficult videos to film. As I say, I keep saying it, but they are. And then that cup then just clips on. There we go. Clips over there like that. That's it. Right. So that's that connected. Very fiddly, really fiddly in the inside there. So all I want to do now is just to put a piece of this heat shrink over the plug there. Make sure that's nice and tightened up. There we go. Let's shrink that down now. So there we go. A whole new Ohno continuous cast copper cable made for these headphones. So let's pop into the other room. So here's our headphones completed. New cable on there, silver plated Ohno continuous cast copper. This is going to turn this headphone into a totally different headphone to what it was. Bags of detail now in here. I've sat and listened to it. Yeah, really good. I'm really pleased with it. Where this connected into the little circuit board inside there, I could have just put the pins in. The pins could have just gone straight into there. I didn't actually have to use those little pins, but I did. But the plastic housing that went round it had been used before, and it basically disintegrated a little bit. So so that's that. If you're, I mean, obviously, if you're making this cable, you can make this cable for any headphones. It doesn't have to be this model or make. Remember, when you take out the old cable, you'll be able to work out where this cable fits into it. And obviously the hole there's got to be big enough as well. So this has got quite a big hole on there, so for getting the cable routed through. So I think that's it. It's yeah, as I say, it's a very nice cable. This is worked out to around about 2 meters, 2.7 meters, which is great for me. If I'm sitting there, I can listen to them. But I don't really even use these, to be fair. This is just for a video. So I hope you like this video. So thanks for watching another Tweaker Man video. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give this video a like, and don't forget to press the notification bell so you will be notified every time I upload a video. So thanks for watching.